3 sculptor astronauts from the International Sculpture and Astronautics Agency, the ISAA, Commander Yoon, Payload Commander Burkett, and Flight Engineer Dalton. Thank you all for being here today, just a few days before the much anticipated launch of the USS Michael Jones McKean. Now, this launch also signals the start of the Portable Objects Depository System sector of the International Sculpture and Astronautics Agency, and many people are curious about the sculpture astronauts involved in the mission and what this mission means. A question for all 3 of you: why did you want to be a sculptor and an astronaut?
You want to talk about it first, Casey?
Yeah, well, of course, my priority is job security, so naturally I just aspire to professions such as sculptors and astronauts. No, but I actually really gravitate to a lack of security and an absence of certainty. I don't actually ascribe to the sculpture and astronaut category. It's like both too absurd and not absurd enough. I just consider the work that I do to be an explorer. I think that's something that just has always motivated me from a child until now. I definitely see it continuing to kind of dictate the work that we do as this sculptor astronaut, as this explorer.
I agree. For me, it wasn't about being an astronaut or about being a sculptor, but it was about finding something, a role, an occupation that I could really search for deeper meanings, search both through the empirical lens and the artistic one. I just really want to search for things that I do not understand and figure things out on the way. And definitely, I think all of us here share that desire for search, and that's, I think, why we're all here. Tyler?
I was raised on a farm with some goats. The only thing I had to entertain myself for many years was an old computer with Photoshop and a space game called Escape Velocity. Over time, I realized that I could modify and create my own images to insert into the universe. I think this experience instilled a sense of nostalgia for the universe that has inspired me to both create and explore.
Great, thank you. You are all about to launch to space in the USS Michael Jones McKean. Casey, Tower, and Yoon, the interdisciplinary vision of the International Sculpture and Astronautics Agency is something that may be strange and unfamiliar to some people. Tell me, what are the goals of this flight, and what are your jobs going to be on this mission?
I think this mission is very much about transcending the categories we talked about before, and finding a point that's part of the ISAA's initiative to find a point when both the process of making art and the process of scientific discovery emerge, and how as sculptors we can find a studio environment space, and how as scientists we can find sort of an artistic approach to making scientific discoveries. And in the mission, my role as the commander is to make sure that everyone in the mission is safe, and I can coordinate all the missions inside. And as the pilot, I will be flying the USS Michael Jones McKean with my co-pilot Tyler. And I will also be running the field operations once we arrive at our destination.
Great.
Yeah, I was selected as the mission's Payload Commander, which essentially means I oversee our intake, processing, and conceptual potential. It's also my goal, which I'm sure is shared by the whole crew, is to translate the alien and just like what is unusable and both usable to that which can be internalized.
I got you. Tyler?
Imagine throwing a box of oranges into the ocean and expecting the box to wash back ashore to your feet in a couple of weeks, filled with gold coins and without losing a single orange. Now imagine that this box is actually made out of newspaper and tinfoil and has 1,000 tiny pieces that can break at any time. And the oranges will explode if they come in contact with salt water. Now imagine that the ocean is actually infinitely larger. box may be shifted off course by a slight change in the currents and lost forever. My job is to keep the box together and on course so the oranges can come home to their families.
Very interesting. Casey, you are the only member of the crew without previous flight experience. How do you feel about leaving Earth for the first time?
Peachy. No, but if anything, I think it's a strength because I can bring the perspective that we really covet in art when something is just made new, it's full of wonder, brushes against impossibility. I mean, you're floating and transcending the only landmass that my fathers and their fathers' fathers have been tethered to. I can make it this really romanticized and ethereal ideal, but I mean, I'll spare you because I think it's a real deep matter and it's really grounded. It's just a really grounded concept inherent to human understanding, but routine and repeated experience, knowing how everything really works, like it negates that feeling. So I think I can really bring that to this crew, being the person that's naive.
I got you. Ji-young, during your time there, you're going to have 2 other crewmates, all of whom are new to the recently formed Portable Object Depository System sector of the ISAA. But you've already flown with Tower 3 times. How has it been working together as all of you prepare for this flight?
Like you mentioned before, having Casey, who's new to the program and new to ISAA, I feel like a great advantage to have a new perspective. And because of such a small crew number, only 3 in this mission, I think it's more important that we could bond together. So we've had a couple of social events that we created so that we could become closer together, not only as peers but also as human beings. We had a barbecue party, which I think went pretty well. We all enjoyed it.
What exactly happened to Tower?
During the engine repairing process, first of all, it happens a lot. We have to fix the engine, and Tyler had his helmet on, but it was faulty. Something happened during the field mission he went. So the toxic gas went into his systems through his vocal cords, and he lost his voice.
Wow, that's horrific. Casey and Tyler, it has come to my attention that before you joined the ISAA, you both studied engineering as undergraduates at MIT. Were you 2 familiar with each other back then?
Yeah, we actually weren't all that close. I mean, I saw Tyler on campus, and I definitely heard about his different projects. I mean, he was doing like a lot of this electrogenetic type work. And I actually heard the police had an officer shadowing him for 3 years there, but I mean, the work he was doing was really groundbreaking, and I'm sure a lot of people just like didn't understand. But he was definitely well respected.
Tower, was the feeling mutual?
I don't actually remember much about MIT. Could we change the subject?
Yeah, sure thing. When you make a space flight, are you going to miss certain things on Earth? On this flight, it turns out you're going to be away for Earth Day. What are your thoughts about spending it in space?
It's I think the best way to spend Earth Day. I feel like not a lot of us get the privilege to see Earth in its entirety, at least one side of it during Earth Day, and I think we can really get to appreciate about Earth being away from it, just like how you appreciate home when you're away from home.
Yeah, I definitely think it's really fitting. I get to have a more accurate, like a really truly global perspective of the thing that I'm celebrating. I mean, I get to see all of it, not just like one patch of trees or one conservation law or however people like really celebrate a holiday like Earth Day. But I just get to step back and I get to see it all.
Tyler?
I've never really been one to celebrate Earth Day, but I guess it is pretty ironic. I think the thing I'm going to miss most is my kitchen. Well, no. Yeah, my kitchen.
Ji-young, you've mentioned that the assembly of the Portable Object Depository System has been completed through the ISAA initiative, and the focus is now turning onto the search for sustainable studio environment and sculptural practice outside of Earth. How do you explain to people what the potential is for what kind of art making process and archiving the PODS can provide?
That's a really hard question to answer for myself. How do we explain this to people? I've been having trouble with that, but I think one of the things we really want from this mission is to find some sort of new sense of urgency that we can't find in Earth anymore. I think there are artists that lack a sense of urgency in their studio practice, if that makes sense to you guys, and we really want to, maybe we can find that somewhere in space. Going back to this idea of the search, I think we're trying to find something that is no longer in Earth or has never been in Earth in terms of art making in space, perhaps.
We just not know.
It's just not known.
Yeah. Something too alien for us to really recognize, so
Yeah.
we're trying to process it.
Absolutely. Casey, let's talk about some of that research and the payload. One of the areas that PODS research focuses on is finding out how being in foreign, in this case extraterrestrial, environment affects the scope of one's process and what works may be created in line with searching for remote substances. Tell me about 2 or 3 of the aesthetic investigations that you're going to be involved in.
My primary focus is the treatment and investigation of substances, which can be applied aesthetically. Attention to surface treatment will remain as a paramount artistic consideration in use and development. And as far as the interaction of body and context, in what way our surroundings alter our work, only time will really tell. But from what can be observed in our practice here, availability is always the driving factor of process. In an extraterrestrial environment, we don't have a lot of latency in our traditional sense because everything is first really recognized as Martian and it tends to dominate the context. But I am definitely really confident that we're going to be able to develop a conversation that extends beyond the plane and enable alternatives of meaning to take root in our perception beyond just this recognition of like Martian.
Great. Tyler, the USS Michael Jones McKean is also packed with a lot of specialized gear for sculptural research and other scientific disciplines as well. Give me a couple of examples of the concepts and methods you're going to be working on.
Well, I guess there's the computer system, and there's the communications system, and the other systems. I know. I think I'll pretty much figure it out when I get up there. The one thing that you'll probably hear about on ABC is the anti-vacuum chamber. You'll see what I mean.
And for you, Tyler, you're not only there to help run those experiments. You're there to make sure that the PODS continues to operate so that those experiments can run. With 2 other crew's lives at stake, maintenance of the ship must weigh heavily on your shoulders. How do you feel about the responsibility?
I'm pretty okay with everything. I like to play a little music to stay calm and focused. I have to remain emotionally stable when my crewmates pass out from radio oxide exposure.
What is it that we are learning now on this portable object depository system sector that is preparing us for future exploration and search further beyond Earth's orbit?
I wouldn't put it that we're figuring things out right at this moment, but there is definitely a lot of ambition behind the ISAA initiative, and a lot of expectations, lots at stake. And I guess us 3, we're really privileged to be a part of the people who are really figuring it out. But I think one of the things, again, is that Earth has just become too discovered in a way, and I think that's what the ISAA what the director was telling me about, is how he wants to find something that may be so unreal as being refreshing in a way that we wouldn't be able to find anymore here now. The real world for me as an artist and as a scientist had so many limitations. Not to say that where we're going isn't real, but it is totally out of my cosmology per se. So we're trying to make unreal things real to introduce a renewed sense of momentum or the urgency I talked about, or something refreshing.
Great. Well, that's all the questions I have. I'd like to thank you guys so much for this interview.
Thank you so much.
And I wish you all the best of luck with your mission and a safe journey.
Thank you.